Hi guys. So on a Monday and Tuesday, December 7th and 8th, we worked on this Desmos right here. You may have to click this and scroll down to see it. So we did our Monday check-in. So you just click this link to fill out your Google Forms. We watched a quick growth mindset video. If you're interested in watching that, I think it's very valuable. And then we did this Desmos activity. On Monday, we did 1 through 4, kind of 5. And then Tuesday, we did 5 and 6. And then once we finished 5 and 6, we did a Kahoot. So if you're interested in doing the Kahoot, the link is right here. It's all about percents and identifying how to find them with the number line. But I'm going to go over the Desmos right here. So you just click on your link. And it should pop up with your name. You can shorten it to just your first name if you like. And this is the first question you'll have. How are you feeling today? So click and drag the purple dot. Let me know. Are you bad? Are you good? Are you meh? If you'd like to say more, you can. And then go ahead and click next. Number 2 says 2 students are working on the same problem. Do you agree with either of them? So the problem is a juice box has 20% more juice in its new packaging. The original, let me use color. The original packaging held 12 ounces. How much juice does the new packaging hold? So we have 2 different students. We have Priya and how she set up her double number line. We have Claire and how she set up her double number line. So what you should be noticing is that original or last year, previously, beginning year, the original amount is always represented as 100%. So the original or last year is always 100%. So my 12 and my 100% should be in line with each other. So here you'll notice Priya puts 12 in line with 100%. And here Claire puts 12 in line with 80%. So 12 and 100% should have been together because 12 ounces of juice is the original 100%. And then we were looking for 20% more. So we're trying to go from 100 to 120. And so you just had to cut up your 12 into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. And then you'd find that it's 2.4 more. So 12 divided by 5. And you'll get 2.4, so I had to add 2.4 more. Claire accidentally put the 12 with the 80% and then found 20% more. So Priya set it up correctly. So I'm going to erase this real quick. So we put, I agree with Priya. And the reason, explain your thinking. So tell me why Priya is correct. I kind of talked about it. So why is Priya correct? Where did she start? So you should put something like the original is always represented as 100%. So 12 and 100% should be together in the number lines. They should be in line. All right, so make sure you type something here. You don't just click the answer. You won't get full credit. You got to tell me why Priya is correct. Number 3, it's talking about sea turtles and their habitats. So we have 2 different problems, and then you can type your answers here. Remember, you got to show your work for full credit. So show your work for full credit. So number 1 says, one sanctuary had 180 turtles. So I'm showing you strategies to help you solve the problem, underlining last year. So 180 turtles last year. The word last tells me it's the original. So that's my 100%. So the word last tells me it's my original, my 100%. This year, so the new amount, this year, the number increased by 10%. So from 100%, it increased by 10. So I'm going to show you with the double number line. So double number line means I have 2 of them. My number line starts at 0. 0 turtles and 0%. So one of them is turtles and one of them is percents. I had 180 turtles, because remember the top is turtles. Oops. I had 180 turtles. And the percentage that matches that was 100%. I am trying to find 10% more. So I'm trying to find 110. So I'm trying to find 110%. So I'm going to put a line up here. So I'm trying to grow by 10%. Well, I need to cut 100 into 10 pieces. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Sorry, it's not spaced out evenly. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110. And what do I cut the top into? Well, they have to match. They're proportional. So the number of turtles is proportional to percents, so they should match. So I'm going to do the same number of lines, which is 10. The same number of lines. Don't mind that they're not spaced evenly. Sorry about that. So each time I move on the bottom, I go up 10%. And each time I move up on the top, well, I don't know how much I move, but I can cut it into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm going to cut 180 into 10 pieces. And so each piece is worth 18. So every time I move 10%, I add 18 turtles. So to go from 180 to here, I'm going to add one of those pieces, which is 18. So your answer should be 180 plus the 18 to move a space. So you can put that in here and check your answer. You want to show your work to get full credit, you can always pause this video. For number 2, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to do a double number line, because I noticed that it's percents and turtles. So I'm going to do the same thing. Grab a marker. There we go. Okay. So 0 turtles and 0%. So percents are on the bottom. There are 2 different things. This time it says, at another sanctuary, the number of turtles decreased by 10% this year. So last time they said last year. This time they said this year there were 234 turtles. They want to know how many turtles were there last year. So they did not give me my original. They want to know the original. So they did not give me 100%. They want to know last year. Last year tells me original. So I don't know what last year's was. This year's was 234. And so this year's, well, what percentage was this year? Well, it was 10 less. So this year was 10 less. So it's 90. So decrease by 10%, it's decreasing from 100. So at the decrease of 10%, it was 234. So a little different. They did not give me the original, but I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to cut up my number line. All right, so 234 is in line with 90%. The percents. All right, well, I need to cut, again, 90 to 100 is 10%, so I'm just going to cut it into 10 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, and then I'm going to match the number of lines on the top. So hopefully you're starting to pick up on the pattern. All right, I'm going to use a different color. So to go from here to here, I'm growing by 10%. So each of these little pieces that I'm moving is 10%. So 10%, 10% more, I'm 20, I'm at 30. So these are just number lines. I need to figure out how many more turtles do I add to move 10%. So the best way to do that is take my 234 and I'm going to cut it not into 10 pieces, but into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, because I stopped at 90%. So I'm going to cut it into 9 pieces. So I stop at wherever my number is. Well, 234 divided by 9 is my little calculator. 234 divided by 9, I get 26. So 26. So every time I move on my number line, I'm adding 26. So I can definitely keep adding until I get to the 10 pieces. So 26 times 10 pieces. Or I can do 234 and I can add 26. So let me erase this real quick, because I'm only moving one little piece. So I'm only moving from 90 to 100. I'm moving 10%, and every 10%, I'm adding 26 turtles. So I get, so 234 plus 26 will get you your answer. You can pause to check that number line out. I'm going to show you 2 ways to do it without the number line. So they gave me a piece. They gave me a piece of my whole number. I'm going to leave that blank because I don't know what it is. They gave me a piece of my whole number, and that piece equaled 90%, and it's 90 out of 100. So I need to know 234 times what is 90. Multiply, or 90, I can go this way as well. So 90 times what is 234? Well, I can always divide to find out. So 234 divided by 90, I get 2.6. So 90 times 2.6 equals 234, and whatever I do to the top, I do to the bottom. So you don't have to do both ways. I'm just showing you 2 different ways. You pick your preferred way. And 100 times 2.6 is 260. So 2 different ways to do the problem. On the top, I could have done 180. Oh, 180 is my whole. So 180 is my whole number of turtles. And I'm trying to figure out how many there are now. But I know that the now is going to be 120% of my original 100%. So you can set up the problem like this as well. To go from 100 to 180, I multiply by 1.8. Oops, that does not look good. I'm going to put a, no, I'm going to put multiplying. There we go. And that equals, so 100 times 1.8 is 180. If you didn't know, I could have done 180 divided by 100. And so I'm going to multiply 120 by 1.8. So just another way. This way won't make as much sense if you don't feel comfortable with this kind of math, but it's just another way if you don't like the number lines. And so you'll get your answers. I highly recommend using the number lines. I think they make way more sense. How do you get from one number to the next using multiplication or division? So I've done the first one as an example. Here's the division sign if you need it, so you can copy that if you want. So 100 to 106, I do 100 times 106, and I put 106 over 100. So I'm trying to go from the number 100 to the number 106, and the reason this works is because one of the 100s is on the top, one is on the bottom. So if I had a pencil, these would cancel out to 1. So these cancel out. So I started with 100, but these cancel out, so I just get 106. So let's do one. So 100 times 90 That gives me 9,000. Well, I want to get from 100 to just 90. So I need to divide 90 by 100. So notice these will cancel out, so I'll be left with 90. 90 times 100. How do I get rid of the 90? Well, I just put 90 on the bottom. So these two will cancel out, and so I'll be left with 100. How do I go from 106 times 100? And I want to get just 100 by itself. So how do I get rid of 106? Put 106 on the bottom because these cancel out to 1. You can always rewind and pause to go back. So I was trying to get from 100 was what I started with, and my answer was 90. Started with 90, my answer was 100. Started with 106, my answer was 100. For division, you can copy this. So Control C to copy that division symbol. I'm going to take the same problem, so 100. Instead of multiplying, I'm going to paste, so Control V and paste that division symbol. And then instead of 90 over 100, because I'm changing the sign, I have to flip it. So in order to keep my answer the same, I have to flip the second one. Because notice if I don't, if I keep it 90 over 100, I get a different answer. So if I want to keep my answer and change it to division, I have to flip it. I'm going to flip it. So instead of 90 over 100, I'm going to have 100 over 90. My answer will stay the same. Same thing. So 90, I'm going to Control V. I'm going to paste that division symbol. Instead of 100 over 90, I got to flip it. So if I change the sign, I have to flip it. So 90 over 100. All right. Same thing. So I have 106. I'm going to Control V and paste that symbol. I can't keep it 100 over 106, so if I want to get the same answer but change it to division, I have to flip it. 106 divided by 100. And so I notice that I get 90, 90, 100, 100, 100, 100. All right, feel free to rewatch that. I know it was a little fast. Number 5 and 6 we did on Tuesday. So 5 says interest and depreciation. Fill in the values and show your work. Your work will look kind of different every time. But it says money in a particular savings account increased by 6%. So it went up 6%, and it always increases or decreases from 100. So I start with 100%, and that's what it increases or decreases from. So it's going to go up. Let me erase this. Let me put the colors to match. Increase by 6%. So I'm going to increase. I'm going to grow by 6%. And it's increasing, so I'm going to add them. I don't add the percent with the money because those are two different things. So I can only add things that are alike. So percents with percents. What is my total percent? Well, it's 106%. So I'm trying to find 106% of the initial amount. And then how much money in the account after 1 year? It was 100, 50, 200, 125, and X. So different values. So these are all different problems. That's why you have a table. And percents and are proportional. So if you guys remember, if this was X and this was Y, how do I go from one to the other? I multiply. So this should look very similar to proportions. So X to Y, I'm going to multiply to go across. So I want to multiply percents when I can. So 100, I want 106% of 100. Well, you'll notice that if I just multiply them, 100 times 106, 10,600. I don't think that my account was 10,600 after the first year. So the problem is I can't multiply by this percent unless I get rid of the percent symbol. And so percents are out of 100. They're always out of 100. So percents are out of 100. So by putting this as a fraction of 100, I can actually erase the percent sign. So now I can use this fraction to multiply by, or this fraction is actually what does it look like as a decimal? Let's see. 106. I'm going to use my little fraction sign. Oops, actually, no, I'm not. I can use that, but I'm going to use the division symbol. 106, and I have 100 on the bottom. Well, that's just 1.06. So this is the same fraction as 1.06. And some of you may already know the trick that dividing by 100 is moving the decimal 1, 2. So some of you may already know that trick. So dividing by 100, dividing my percent by 100 is the same as moving the decimal over 2 places. So you choose which one you want to multiply by. You can multiply by 106 over 100 or 1.06. So this is kind of like my K. This is my multiplier. So my multiplier, so I want to find 106% of these different amounts. So go ahead and take these amounts and multiply them by 1.06. You'll know if you got it right because these will turn into green check marks. For the X, I'm just going to do 1.06 times X. So 1.06 times X, or I don't really need that dot there. I can actually just write it like this. It doesn't matter if the X goes in the front or the back because 2 times 3 is the same as 3 times 2. So it's typically the X is in the back, but when you're multiplying, you can actually change the order. And then if you want that multiplication symbol in there, you can. Otherwise, you don't have to because this also means multiplying. So I'm going to take my initial amount and I'm going to multiply it by 1.06 or this fraction. They're the same. And the reason that works is because I'm trying to find 106% of these different amounts. It says write an equation that gives the amount in the savings account after 1 year, and let's call this Y, given the initial amount X. So what does Y equal when you're given an X? Well, Y equals 1.06 times X. So when I'm given X, Y, which is this column right here, notice I'm circling it, is 1.06 times that X. Or I don't need to put the multiplication symbol in if I don't want to. So you're looking for a green check mark right here as well. And then make sure to show me your work. If you did it a different way, that's awesome. You can definitely use a double number line, a tape diagram, anything like that. But do show me some of your thinking so that I know that you're thinking about it on your own, not just copying. All right, so fill those in. Number 6 is very similar. This time it's decreasing by 15%. Well, it decreases from 100. So you should already be thinking that when it's increasing or decreasing, it's increasing or decreasing from 100. So decreasing means it's going down. So I'm taking 15% away. So I'm taking 15% away. And I'm left with, so how much is left? Well, I'm left with 85%. So I'm going to take these initial amounts, 1,000, 5,000, 5,020, and X. I'm trying to find the percent of those numbers, so I need to multiply. Percents are like proportions, so we're multiplying. We're multiplying unless we are given not the original. So these are the initial, so these are the original, so multiplying works. So since I'm given the original initial, multiplying works. I can't multiply by 85 because if you'll notice, if I do 1,000 times 85, I get a really big number. And I know that it's supposed to decrease. So these numbers in this column should be lower than the initial. So that's bigger. So it needs to be lower. Well, the reason is because I need to do 0.85. And the reason it's 0.85 is because if I divide this by 100 to get rid of the percent, if I divide this by 100, I get rid of the percent. 85 divided by 100 is 0.85. So I needed to move the decimal over 2 places. All right, now I'm ready to multiply. So I'm going to multiply each of my initial amounts by 0.85. So you should do 1,000 by 0.85, 5,000 times 0.85. So this is my K, this is my multiplier. So 1,000 times 0.85, 5,000 times 0.85, 5,020 times 0.85. X times 0.85. So you can write it as 0.85 times X or just 0.85X. The number usually goes in the front, but the order really doesn't matter. If you put it in the front, you'll notice you get it correct as well. So I'm just multiplying 0.85 by the initial amount. It says write an equation. So it says write an equation that gives the value of the car after 1 year. So this column, Y, equals what in terms of the initial X. So what does Y equal in terms of X? I'm going to have you finish this. This little red X will turn into a green check mark if you got it correct. If you don't know what it is, go back to number 5. It's very similar. But I want you to kind of think about what is the equation? What does this column equal in terms of X? What's my formula? I want you to think through that one and finish the table. Don't forget to mark it as done when you finish. If you guys are struggling, know that we have tutoring on Tuesdays. I really, really highly recommend going to them if you're struggling with this. And as always, try your best, try it out, and see if you get it right. All right, have a great rest of your day.